My whole life, I was lost. 1 year, I was there in my room by myself, sitting, mostly with my eyes closed, and I found freedom.
My brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what's just going on in my head.
Oh my God, Gabriel, why can't I stop thinking? And I say, well, you can't stop thinking because you think that your mind is in your head. But your brain is in your head, not your mind. Your mind is whatever you pay attention to, okay?
How do you want to think?
Yes. Some of the most miserable people I've met were the people with the most money and fame.
Yeah.
And they were miserable. I've done every single thing and I still couldn't find the answer. And then that's when it hit me.
We don't do intros here, we usually just jump straight in.
Perfect.
It feels like I've recorded 4 episodes already with you in the last 3.5 hours. So I hope we still have something to talk about.
I hope so too.
We
I feel
all-
like you know my life already.
Yeah. More than I wanted to know, I know.
Definitely.
What I don't know is, and that's our starting ritual here, if I would have been a fly in your head when you grew up in Italy, what would my experience as a fly in your head would be? What would I see?
You could see actually a lot of confusion and suffering because I never fit in when I was a kid. And so I tried to do everything I could do in my power to fit in and be the cool guy, which in a way I actually succeeded, believe it or not. But inside, it was a very big mask, which I carried for literally a lot of my life. So that's what you would see.
And what year were you thinking about?
I was actually picturing myself in high school, and I remember, I just felt like I didn't belong. Even with people, I couldn't relate to anybody or anything, or what they were doing, or how they were living and thinking, and then I wanted to be cool because I wanted to fit in, and so I created this own image, which I've had many in my life. But at that point, I just pictured myself. I was kind of like the bad boy, James Dean look. I had a motorcycle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had a motorcycle, and I still remember that right before the school opened, people were at the gate, so hundreds of people, and I was just there with my motorcycle making noises, and then people
leather jacket.
Yeah, leather jacket. People would like open up, and they would look at me as I was entering the gate, and I remember I was like, I felt cool, I felt important, and then I was a pretty bad boy, and also it was Italy, it was normal. I was there, I parked my bike, grab a cigarette. I don't smoke anymore. It's been many years. But that's what I was doing. I was there, be the bad boy and walking, acting cool. And I thought I was cool. I thought, oh, this is good. And because some people liked it. I remember the starting of my dating life. I remember, okay, some girls, like this. This is cool. This is different. But of course, deep inside, I was really miserable. And I was just trying to fit in somehow because I didn't.
And how does that connect to what you're doing right now? I don't know if you've noticed, but first of all, I'm massive fan of the work you're doing. I think I know meditation and reprogramming my own subconscious mind, my programming has saved my life. And before we went into the studio, there were actually a couple of people, I don't think you've noticed, but there were a couple of people recognizing you and talking about, well, I love his videos, I love the work. I actually played paddle with one of the guys. So there is a gap right now between this version of you being on the James, how do you call it? James Dean cigarette motorcycle kind of vibe, and the work that you are doing right now, which is, meditation, which is subconscious mind, which is a lot of very important facts and fascinating facts. How, if you would have to tell me that story in like 2-3 minutes, what would I have to know about this gap? How did you basically close it?
Yeah, so my whole life, I was lost, and I was trying to do something different. I wanted to find myself, and that was always my mission because I always felt in a way different. And I didn't finish high school, and I ended up going to America, and I went to Los Angeles. I was 17, no money, nothing.
Where did that idea come from? Just like one day on your motorcycle? Or?
I thought California was cool. You know, you see it in movies.
I had the same thing.
You know, it's LA.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the best place to be. And, you know, honestly, maybe it's the American dream. Maybe that's my purpose, the American dream. And of course, long story short, I've had many lives. I've had every kind of jobs. I've been an actor. I've been a personal trainer. I've been a financial professional, you know, kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street with my team.
Really?
I've sold diaper bags. I've sold mattresses. Restaurants, of course. I've done every kind of possible thing just to try
I've done all of those things as well, except selling mattresses and diapers.
Diaper bags, yeah. That was an experience.
Yeah. I once burned a mattress and then a whole entire house burned down, but that's a different story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's look forward to it, maybe.
Yeah.
But, you know, eventually, at one point, after having many different masks and lives, I thought I made it. I was pretty successful living in Southern California, had a lot of freedom and free time. But on the inside, I was still very miserable. And because I just thought my whole life was fake. I was not feeling connected to anything. I was just looking at the mirror and it's like, who am I? What am I even doing? I was not passionate anymore. And my whole life was just living the excess, you know, the partying, the people, the connection. And that was my purpose, to have fun and the excess, because also LA is a lot like that, which is also why I'm not there anymore. But it was really a lot of that life, and it made me miserable. And at one point, it became like true depression. I could not even get up from the bed in the morning. I completely sabotaged my life, my business. I stopped it. I completely stopped everything I was doing because I was just so sad. And I honestly didn't know what to do, but I tried everything. This is very important. I remember, because I still wanted to change. I wanted to figure out what was wrong with me, and I tried everything. I went to all the therapists, all the psychologists. I hired all the coaches. I've spent nights with shamans. I've punched pillows because maybe that's a way to release energy. I've done every single thing, and I still couldn't find the answer. And then that's when it hit me, because we try to seek answers from outside sources, whether it's a person, a medicine, or whatever that is. And it hit me because I started meditating. And from a pure scientific perspective, because I learned maybe my brain is wrong, and I learned that your brain can change. And I've always been a scientific person, and I needed facts. And I started meditating. And long story short, by just sitting alone with myself, I think, 1 year I was there in my room by myself, sitting, mostly with my eyes closed. And I found freedom. I realized that everything that I thought I was not. How I was wearing a mask my entire life. It was a pure ego death. And from that day, I found freedom.
It reminds me of this video I watched that you've created about wanting to pursue money and success and fame so that you feel a certain way. But you can also feel that certain way without waiting for that external factor to basically arrive and appear. And I remember this point in my life when I understood that when I really understood the first time in my life, my brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what's just going on in my head. Very freaking powerful. So I don't have to wait for the external thing to happen to feel that way. I can just create that within myself. And you also earlier said, I had a similar journey. All of a sudden you have all of the things that you said or you thought they will make you happy. Then you have them and you're like, oh.
Some of the most miserable people I've met were the people with the most money and fame.
Yeah.
And they were miserable.
Yeah, I mean, it must be very hard to have all of those things and still feel like a garbage bag, like a plastic bag running through the wind. We were singing before the podcast episode. That's Katy Perry. But bring you back to this moment of you being depressed. If I would have been a fly in your head during that time, what would I see?
The end. I thought there was nothing left.
What age was that?
Around 26.
So like 4 years ago. 5 years.
5 years ago, I would say. And that was also the best moment of my life, by the way. Because if I didn't experience the darkness, I would have never been who I am right now. You know, and I believe challenges, by the way, are extremely important in our lives, because if it was not for the darkness, I couldn't have seen the light. You have to experience darkness in a way to see the light.
Yeah.
And that was my moment of evolution and transformation, and I needed to experience that.
It's in 4K, so we can see it. I have goosebumps all over my body. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I think you know by now. I had cancer, and now a couple of years later, I was blessed with it, and it was one of the most helpful, most profound experiences in my life. Just like you said, the darkness led to like the brightest moment of my life, and I'm so excited for people to hear this. If they're going through a tough time right now, I would say get excited, because life's about to get really, really good for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really believe it's like a part of something more. If you take a look at nature, every organism evolved in history because of challenges. Early mammals, most of them didn't have fur. And then the Ice Age happened, crazy challenges, and they had to adapt and to evolve. And those who didn't survive. And I believe it's really part of this intelligent design that is nature, the universe, that bring us those challenges, because that's the moment for us to evolve.
Yeah. Because you were talking about nature, it reminds me of this this saying, spring follows winter.
Spring follows winter.
Spring follows winter, without exception. So when you go through winter, you always know, like, after winter comes spring.
It's beautiful.
After day comes night, you can almost like bet on it. It happens all the time. And I'm just trying to picture this moment, you being in California, having the outside success, being depressed, and then you start meditating. Because we're laughing about it, but I told you before we started the episode, the leading cause for premature death in young men in many countries, especially Western countries, is suicide, mental health issues. And one of the first things I tell people then is to meditate, which is, I think if you're in that state of being depressed and you've never meditated, the last thing you want to do is sit down and meditate.
Of course.
Right? So I'm curious about your story. Where did this, how on earth did you motivate yourself to sit down and meditate? What was your story?
Yeah, so first what made me started meditating, which I briefly mentioned, was the fact that I saw that there were literally over 40,000 studies that said that if you meditate, even for only 8 weeks, literally your brain physically changes.
That is wild.
And there's literally over 40,000 studies conducted in the past 40 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I've read some of them, because I was actually, even though I wanted to almost give up, I was like, there must be another way. And the fact that meditation could do that, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this thing a try. Maybe, hopefully, this time it will work. And of course, it was very, very hard. So I didn't start sitting down for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And at the end of the day, I didn't even know how to even meditate, because meditation is such a big word, can mean different things to different people. But what I was doing is, I remember, is 3 minutes every day. So my life at that point was pretty dark. I don't think I actually ever shared this to anybody, so this is interesting. But it was very, very dark, and I could not even get up from the bed anymore. I really, the alarm would ring, I would wake up, and then I just couldn't wait to fall asleep again, because when is this day gonna end? And so my victory was the 3 minutes of meditation. That would be like the first thing I would do, 3 minutes. Because and that's also very good when people are trying to get out from a certain situation. We try to, okay, now for tomorrow I'm gonna start 1 hour of meditation and working out.
Yeah, for 2 hours. Yeah,
and then after 3 days you stop because it's a lot. And then I was doing 3 minutes because I know I could do 3 minutes. I believe that, which is the most important thing. It doesn't mean, even if it was just 3 minutes, after 1 week, I was the person that meditates every day. I don't care if it was 3 minutes. I meditate every day. Yeah. Then I went to 5, to 10, to 15. And then I was like, okay, 15 minutes, and I started feeling a bit better. Maybe I can add something else to my day. And then I just started going deeper into the meditation world and studying about even neuroscience and the brain and how to reprogram your mind. It just came from a personal passion, because like everything that I teach now is what I wish I knew. And I study all of these different disciplines, from science to even very ancient spiritual traditions. I've studied so many, from different kinds of yoga, Kabbalah, all of these ancient spiritual traditions and religions, to neuroscience and epigenetics, neurobiology, and really understand if I can combine the two worlds. And then eventually, my life changed.
What would you share with someone who is maybe at that stage that you were describing? And I can think straight of a couple of people who are in this depressed state, who have it's actually something that you hear from many people. Like, I can't, it's already so hard to get out of bed. Let alone to like work, go to the gym. What would you tell them? What was maybe something you said there were a couple of studies and facts that really motivated you to look into it. What would you say is the most exciting news for them, or what is something, if you could talk to your, I think it's like 4 or 5 years ago, what would you share with your younger self?
Well, first, it's very important to understand that everything you think, everything you feel, everything you do, every habit, behavior is a program. Over 95% of everything you think, feel, and do is a subconscious program. So you saying that, oh, I don't feel like getting up from the bed, or I am depressed, or I am that, there is a program, a subconscious program, and you can actually change that, because only 5% of everything we think, feel, and do is conscious.
That is wild.
So we have kind of an illusion of choice. We think we're making choices, but most people are actually not.
Just reacting.
Yeah, we're just reacting. We think a certain way, and we feel certain emotions, and we do certain actions or perform certain habits just because that's
like a computer.
It's a computer.
Like a program.
Yeah, we learned that a lot in childhood. A lot of beliefs and a lot of things happen in childhood, especially in the first 7 years of your life.
Yeah.
And then things add up, and then you're a computer. You believe that thing about the world because that's what you heard when you were 3 years old, whether you remember or not. It doesn't need to be something traumatic. And
very true.
Yeah, and then everything, and then the more you repeat a certain thing, the stronger the connection between your synapses in your brain, and the stronger the connection, it means that the more more automatic it becomes for you to think, feel, or perform that certain action. And that's actually what changed my life, is the concept of neuroplasticity, which is something in neuroscience that just says that neurons, your brain cells, they fire together, wire together. And pretty much every time you think a thought, let's just use thought for an example. If right now I am sad and I want to think the thought I'm happy, and of course this is an oversimplified version. If you just repeat the thought I'm happy long time enough, you will build new neural connections in your brain that will reflect that thought, which means that after a while, you don't have to consciously try to think I'm happy because you will be happy on your own. You reprogrammed your brain.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, for someone who hears this sentence for the first time, neurons that
fire together, wire together.
For someone who hears that sentence for the first time, can you explain that in a, maybe with an example, but maybe like in a simple way that everybody understands that, because it's so freaking powerful?
Okay. Let's use my hand. Okay. So let's say this is neuron A and this is neuron
Interesting
B.
that you choose those two fingers, but it's different stuff.
I don't have anything here.
No.
I have my hands.
I'm so sorry.
So we got this is neuron A and neuron B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think the thought I'm happy because I am sad. Okay.
Yeah.
The more you repeat that thought, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, the neurons connect and they form a connections. And when the connection is really strong, okay, that becomes a program in your mind, which means you don't have to consciously try to think that you're happy. You'll be happy on your own. Okay. Now the problem is that you have all of these other thoughts in your mind as well, like I'm not good enough, my life sucks, change is impossible. And so it does take some will, you know, some conscious effort. But the great thing is that it all comes down to repetition. And if you want, and why I started learning meditation is because meditation slows down your brain waves. And so it takes repetition, but even more importantly, repetition in the perfect brainwave state, which is theta. We have several types of brainwaves, beta, alpha, and theta. And there's also delta, we've also gamma. But for now, pretty much the slower our brainwaves become, then we go to theta, okay? Yeah. And once you're in theta, that's your subconscious mind. You're ready for information. You're ready to be programmed, because it means that your analytical mind is out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Often shortly before you go to bed, and often shortly after you wake up.
That's why it's very important to, when you wake up and right before you go to bed, to really set your intention, because it's a very powerful time. Right when you wake up, you go from delta to theta. When you go to sleep, you're going from theta to delta. And so you have a very short time of window that it's so easy to reprogram your mind, because you can only access theta in 3 times: right when you wake up, right when you fall asleep, and in deep meditation.
That's why my hypnotherapist, when we do sessions, she gives me a recording for 30 days, and she tells me to listen to the recording before I fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because of that, very, very powerful. I have the feeling that someone who is in that depressed state, if he or she would be listening and you would tell that person, say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, like, you know, you think the thought I'm happy, and maybe your subconscious mind goes, bullshit, I'm happy, bullshit, I'm happy, bullshit. Do you know what I mean? What would be your answer? What would you say in that scenario?
Yeah, I was trying to oversimplify it, because thinking alone is not enough. You got to feel it. That's very, very important. And sometimes, you know, maybe if you're really in a dark spot, maybe you're not happy. Maybe you're just trying to be happy. Yeah. You know, you have to make it easy for you, something that you can at least a bit believe. And then you have to really try to feel that emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know a lot of times I get people, but I don't know how to feel emotions on command. Well, then you should practice. Kind of what we were saying before. People need to have a thing to feel the thing. Remember?
Yeah.
Like they need the money to feel abundance. No, you can feel abundance without the money. And then the money, you will see that it will come.
Yeah, 100%. So important. So important. Because you also can have the money and not feel abundant.
Yeah.
So it's not the money. It's
not.
How much that thought, I don't think the majority of the population understands that. No. I didn't understand for the majority of my life. That thought, you are creating it. You have so much freaking power over the reality that you're creating. So we are creating the abundance, and we are creating the misery. Thoughts can make you sick, and therefore thoughts can also make you healthy.
True.
Thoughts can make you sad. Thoughts can make you grateful, right? And this part is so powerful. I have an example. Maybe that's what you were describing while you were talking about it. That memory came up for me. I used to say, my English isn't good enough. I had this constant voice years ago. Constantly. I went to this one event. We did something called Dickens process. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's basically you choose a limiting belief that is negatively impacting your life. You do a certain process, a certain exercise. You put in that case, you put two fingers in your head and you make fun of that voice, and then you say the truth. But you really need to feel it.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to do a reality check as well. So instead of saying because my problem was I would say something in English, I would create content, and I would hear myself mispronouncing a word, making a mistake. I would get into my head and it would be like, I would feel horrible every single time. And during that process, so that was those neurons, right? Interacting.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. It didn't impact my life in a positive way. So I changed that to, not my English is perfect, because that's certainly not the case. I changed it to, I'm a genius when it comes to languages. And I could really believe that, because I speak, at this point, 5 languages. It's very special.
That's amazing.
So I could believe that, I could embody that, and I'm like, wow. And we did this process, I felt it. And I really it just freaking changed. I changed in that moment, my brain changed. Since then, maybe I thought that in the last 5 years, until then, I thought that thought every week, perhaps even every day. Now, I don't remember the last time I thought that thought. Because of that. And nothing externally, internally. Something changed. So that is really, really exciting for people. So what do you think is the number one reason why people should meditate?
The number one reason is because most of us are reactive machines. Okay, because now we're kind of talking more about changing your thought patterns, your emotional states. But the most important thing is to actually stop the reactive nature. That's the first thing that I talk about when I start even talking about meditation. Again, meditation is a very big word, but you know what it actually means? If you literally translate it, to become familiar with. And that is so true. The real purpose, before we do anything else, is to become familiar, to sit with yourself, because most people, especially now that everybody's on their phone, everybody's always distracted, to be able to sit with yourself and become aware of literally what you're thinking about. That's something that we can do as Homo sapiens sapiens, is the art of metacognition, which means that we, as a species, we can think about what we're thinking about, which is
wild.
Yes. That means that if you just sit with yourself long enough, you can become aware of what you think, what you believe, how you feel, what you do, okay? And when you become aware, only then you can try to change the program. Nothing changes if you're not aware of it. And most people are not aware. We just say things we shouldn't say, we do things we shouldn't do. And our life, again, is a program. And until we become conscious of that program, then we can change.
Let's say I do meditation and I become familiar with my autopilot.
Yeah.
Right? This program, the subconscious mind, you said earlier, it's 95% of your thinking is subconscious mind. It's the auto program. And I think every single human being, if you dig deep enough, you'll find some behavior patterns that are part of this subconscious mind where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. It's hurting me.
Yes.
And it's hurting the people I love.
So true.
I want to change that. First of all, that awareness is already so powerful. It shows you have courage. What's next? Let's say I see that pattern. I'm thinking, what is the pattern that most people have in common that is maybe negatively impacting our lives? Perhaps something like we try something, it doesn't work out the way we expect it to work out, and we think we are a failure. That was the case for me for a long, long time. It could be something like I'm a perfectionist. And therefore you take very little action, right? I'm just thinking, someone is listening, or even I, when I look at there's so many things that are still part of my auto program that are negatively impacting me. And I discovered that I'm like, wow, I had this thing, for example, for a long time of my life, I had a really hard time spending money on myself because there was always scarcity, and so it became a part of my blueprint. And just to decode that, to become familiar with negative beliefs that they're not even my thoughts.
Yeah.
Someone else's thoughts
Yes.
is in my head that has nothing to do with my essence. So let's say I become aware of it. First step, I think. What's next? You said earlier you can change your brain.
Yes. Well, there's really two things that I want to mention regarding what's next. The first one, which you actually said, is that the brain does not know the difference between what's real or what you're mentally rehearsing or visualizing in your head, which means that if you just visualize or rehearse your day, it's a lost art, but it's very, very powerful. Can you, for example, let's say you have a bad habit, okay? You have a bad habit and you're smoking cigarettes, okay? That's your bad habit. If you're rehearsing in your head and you're visualizing, you stopping right when you're about to pick up the cigarette, that's a connection. You do longer enough in your mind, the brain, okay, that will become part of the program. That's how I stopped smoking cigarettes, by the way.
Wow.
I was rehearsing in my head for the longest time. By the way, this doesn't take one day. This is the work. Every day, I was thinking and I was meditating. When my brain slowed down, I would start visualizing of me about to pick up a pack of cigarettes, about to put it in my mouth, saying pause, okay, because I want to pause my program.
Yeah.
So I become aware, most important thing, and I will look at the cigarette, feel disgusted, and stop. It didn't happen after one day, it didn't happen after 2 weeks, it didn't happen after 3 weeks. But I kept showing up in my mind, okay? I kept showing up in my mind. And one day, I really remember, I went outside the balcony in my apartment, I picked up a cigarette, and I felt it all. And that was the last time I smoked. Because I just rehearsed me pausing and felt disgusted so many times in my mind that my body knew how to do it. The body's like the subconscious mind, okay? I already knew how to do it. And that was the last time I smoked cigarettes. I just rehearsed it so many times in my mind. That's also how I change my habits, my thoughts, my beliefs. I just keep rehearsing or visualizing things in my mind because that would install new connections in the brain, okay? And everything is born from repetition. This is just basic neuroscience. Everything you think, everything you feel, everything you do, it's just repetition. You do enough times, whether in real life or not in real life, just in your mind, and you will change.
That is so powerful. That's also why athletes do that. For those of you listening who are like, I have a hard time believing that, athletes do that all the time.
There's countless studies on this.
Yeah, they rehearse their shots. They think about situations and how I'm going to react. And they do it over and over again and over again. Many athletes even do that with lifting the trophy, at the end.
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to go on the court. This is how I'm going to do it. This is the energy I'm bringing to the court. So freaking powerful.
And you ready for number 2?
Yes, sir.
The number 2 is actually a byproduct of what happens when you meditate, because your nervous system start to relax. Especially nowadays we are under stress all the time. Okay, and when you meditate, you start to let go of that stress. Your nervous system finally relaxes. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is not just something that I've experienced. Ask any long-term meditators. You start experiencing something that I can call as wholeness.
What is that word?
Wholeness.
Wholeness.
And you know what that means? That you no longer need anything. You're whole. And that is a very strong feeling. That is a very that feeling creates a lot of strong chemicals in your body as well. And you start living your life differently because you're whole. You no longer need anything. And you start seeing yourself even from a different perspective. And just life gets so beautiful because you don't need anything. You got it all. You don't need love. You are love. You don't need abundance. You are abundance. You are everything you've ever wanted to have. And you live in that state, and life will surprises you. It gets really, really magic, and it gets really, really beautiful. And that's why people suffer, because it's the opposite of wholeness. We have lack in everything. And once you start feeling wholeness, I mean, life will never be the same.
I think I agree. It's a bit like describing how a rose smells.
A rose?
Yeah. If you haven't experienced that, if you are in that lack state, if I would have told Axel 15 years ago, 10 years ago about all of this, he would say, like, interesting concept. And that was, by the way, my life started to change dramatically when I started meditating, when I started taking the time into... my first meditation was on, I think it was Headspace.
Same. It was
like
my very first one.
couple, watch the clouds and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know, it was a couple minutes, but I'm like, I actually, like, right now, I feel like I could sense how I'm calming down just by changing my breathing patterns.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Before we had before the episode started, I binge watched you, basically.
Okay.
Very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
People always say, or not always, but many people say social media is so toxic. I don't know what you're talking about, honey, because my feed is all about paddle and then neuroscience and psychology. Probably my feed now for the next couple of weeks is just you, because I went through the majority of your videos and there were like moments where I'm like, wow, like stuff I've never heard before. One of the recent ones, I mean, they're all very empowering, because it goes back to this truth that we have so much power. Our thoughts have so much power. It's not the external, it's the internal.
Yes.
There's this Viktor Frankl quote that I take with me everywhere I go in life. Between stimulus, do you know the quote, Viktor Frankl?
I know him. What is the quote?
Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies your response. In that response lies your power and your freedom, because I'm messing up the entire quote, but it basically says you have the power to choose your response, and that gives you the freedom and the power.
Yes.
That's the whole concept, and I want people to understand that whether you are super successful and rich, but you don't feel fulfilled, I'm pointing into the direction, it's us. Mm-hmm. I think that's when stuff gets very interesting and powerful. And the other way around, there was also a time when, when I didn't have all the external things and I thought that's going to bring me the joy. No, it's you bringing yourself the joy, whether you have things or you don't have things.
Yes. And
that in itself is so, so powerful for people to understand and to realize. So I'm grateful you're bringing this up. I wanna talk about some of the things that you are sharing, if you don't mind. The first one, as an example, was the one when you talked about sweat. Can you, just because it was really recent, can you share what they found out about the sweat part?
Yes. So this is just one of many studies that I love to research and share.
Yes.
And the study is very simple. They just, some researchers got two groups of people and made them either run on a treadmill or skydive, okay? Then they collected the sweat from those two group of people, put them in vials, and gave them to a third group, okay? The third group was put in a fMRI machine, okay, so they could see everything that is happening inside, and they were just told to smell Now, they were not told what they were smelling, okay? So I don't know how enjoyable was the experience for them, but they were told to smell. And when they smelled the sweat of the people they run on the treadmill, nothing happened. There was no changes whatsoever in their brain, for example. But when they smelled the scent of the people they skydived, and all of those people skydived for their very first time, by the way, their amygdala lit up, which is the part of your brain responsible for, your fear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they started feeling afraid for no reason, just because they
Smelled
something. And that's because our body can read chemistry. That's just one of the things that the body can read. And it's also very important to really think about the gut feeling that we have.
Yes.
We can sense things before the brain even begins to understand or comprehend, okay? And it's very, very important, because maybe how many times even for you walk into a room and you feel weird, or you feel something's off, right?
Yeah, or someone enters the room and you immediately know, like,
Yeah,
that person is
you
angry.
You feel it. And that's why it's important to trust your gut. If you feel something, there might be a reason. You don't need to understand it now, but there might be a reason. And if you want to be even more mind blown, this is just sweat, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is something, just one thing, and scent that the body can pick up. But we can go way deeper.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go deeper. So
What is going on today, Axel? You bring out the playful side there, 5-year-old Axel. That's amazing.
So another very fascinating thing in terms of how we can pick up information from the environment is to take a look at what's actually around our body. Do you know what's around our body?
Like right now? Or
Yeah,
like
right
in general?
now. Right now, there's something around our bodies.
Magnetic fields?
Yes, an electromagnetic field. Every living organism generates an electromagnetic field. This is measurable. You can literally go ahead and measure your electromagnetic field and see it. And it's electromagnetic frequency. It's like Wi-Fi. You don't see it, but it's very real and it's very there. Now, what's inside that field? Frequencies. Frequencies carry information. And that information relates to your state of being. Okay, so again, if you walk into a room and you feel something is off, okay, or somebody maybe is looking at you in a different way, it's information. You're also sensing that information in that field. It's energy interacting with energy, and I find it very, very mind blowing. And that's also why some people drain you and why some people uplift you.
So we all have. Or we can send I think Wi-Fi connection is a really good example, because everybody can understand. Like, I can't I see the Wi-Fi router, right? But someone like
you don't see the Wi-Fi waves.
You don't see the Wi-Fi waves, but they're there all the time. Yeah. Or if they're not there, you notice that they're not there because they're like, I can't watch my TikTok.
Yeah, and right now there's waves in between us from our field, and we're very close. So our fields must be even touching right now. Okay,
that's
very
wild.
Powerful, and that's crazy.
It's very powerful. And it's like almost we have Wi-Fi connection, but because the closer you get to a person, like think about a stranger. I'm thinking about a stranger right now. If you come really close, like you can sense the person way more. Yeah. There is this. I did it this morning when I was preparing the episode. I think it's one of your most successful videos. The meditation with your hand, and I could not believe it, because I was watching it and I'm like doing it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right now, immediately I go back to the sensation. Is that something you could? I don't know if you feel comfortable with. You can say no. If you you did it on social.
That's very easy.
I've done. Honestly, I've been a meditator for a decade. I've never done this.
Yeah, that's just a way. It's funny because in my meditation, people ask me, what type of meditation do you do? I bring every possible thing together and create one experience. That's just one thing that I could share to bring awareness to the fact that your mind is not in your head. Because people get stuck in thoughts. Yes. And they always ask me, oh my God, Gabriel, why can't I stop thinking? And I say, well, you can't stop thinking because you think that your mind is in your head. But your brain is in your head, not your mind. Your mind is whatever you pay attention to, okay?
If you can't go on a holiday because your entire business would collapse, You don't have a business, you have a job. And what you need is evergreen products. What you need are certain structures. So I created an entire training that teaches you how you can change that. How you can become a business owner, not a business operator. How you can create automated income. You need structure, you need strategy. I know what it's like to be in this pain. I know what it's like to have to work all the freaking time, never being able to go on a holiday. I found a way out of it. I shared it with my clients. We know it's working. It's a proven strategy. You get access to it. Click on that link, join the training. It's completely free of charge and it might completely change your life. So take advantage. Can you say that again? Because that's really powerful.
Okay. The whole thing?
No. Yeah, so from 45 minutes ago when we started to now. No, the brain is in your head.
Your brain is in your head.
Yes.
But not your mind. Your mind is whatever you pay attention to. The mind is like a mental spotlight. For example, even if you're watching here right now, other people, put your hands like this. You can do this with me, so we do this together.
Mm-hmm. Do I have to close my eyes? I can keep my eyes open?
You can actually do this with your eyes open right now.
Okay.
You're more welcome to close your eyes to go deeper. But
unless you are driving a car or any other dangerous vehicle.
Yeah, so if you're alone, I suggest you to close your eyes. But this is just a very simple exercise.
Yeah.
It's like a mini meditation.
Yeah.
Okay, and can you just put that mental spotlight to your hands? Can you become aware of nothing but your hands? Don't think about your hands. Just feel them. Focus on them. And can you become aware that the longer you place your attention to your hands, the longer those sensations in your hands become? You may feel like a tingling sensation, maybe a vibration. Can you just stay with those sensations? And can you go even deeper? If you think about it, you can even feel the blood right now pumping through your hands. Feel it. Become aware of it. Become aware of nothing but your hands. Can you realize that your mind is in your hands right now? That maybe even for a bit you weren't thinking about anything because you were aware of nothing but your hands? Yeah?
Wow. So for me, it started the fingertips. I could feel pretty like straight away from the get-go. Mm-hmm. But then later on, I could feel really is that the palm?
Yeah.
Of your head, the palm of your head, and then at the end, it almost felt like there was a how do you call it? Like a pull towards some things, and then you said blood. Immediately, I could feel the pump, like blood pumping through my.
And that was
head.
what, like 40 seconds?
That
like
is...
I didn't do anything right now. I would just pay attention to your hands. Like I didn't try to make you go into a deep state. I just want you to become aware that your mind is not in your brain, but it's in whatever you place your attention to. So when you're overthinking, instead of thinking about your thoughts, think about your hands. And then you will stop thinking. And then just one little way to do that. But something very powerful that I want to share with you, just because you told me that you could feel your hands even more and more, since we were also talking about electromagnetic fields and all of that stuff. Have you heard of the sentence, whatever you place your attention is where you place your energy? Mm-hmm. And this is very true. This is something that can be measurable, and I found it completely mind-blowing.
It's like also this where focus goes, energy flows?
Yes.
Okay.
There's many different ways, but that's the same concept. And there was a study, which I really, really find it fascinating, that we're studying the energy, or in other terms, what they were measuring were the light emissions, so the number of photons, which are light particles, coming from the heart area of a person, okay? And it was very, very small, okay? And then they had those people and trained meditators actually. They were instructed to meditate with intention to send love to another person. So they were just feeling a lot of love. Okay, so their mind, no, it was not in their hands, it was in their heart. Okay, and they were feeling a lot of love. They were sending, and giving is very, very powerful. And if you would measure what was happening there, the light particles, the photons, increased by an incredible amount. I don't remember exactly the right number, but it increased by a lot just with your mind, which is very powerful if you think about it. Like, where you place your attention is where you place your energy.
Yeah, and other people can feel that and can
And other
sense it.
people can feel
I have
it.
a crazy story.
Tell me.
There was, by the way, goosebump moment number 2. So, it really happened. I was under a lot of stress, physical stress. It was intensive care unit. I was laying there, and I was barely awake. There was probably like the hardest time of my life, like in terms of physical challenges. I just went through treatment. It was like critical phase. People were not sure if I can make it or not. So I had a gazillion wires connected to my body. I had do you know what dialysis is? Mm-hmm. Right, so the machine would be cleaning, basically would be supporting my kidneys because there were so many dead tumor cells because the treatment therapy worked so well. It turns out you can actually die from it working so well. But anyways, I would wake up. It was so weak. I would talk for 5 seconds, fall asleep again. That would be the conversation with me. I'm in that state, intensive care unit. There's only one person at a time who can see me because of the infection risk. It was my brother. He told me actually that this happened because that was in such a weak state. I would wake up and I said to him, it feels like someone is praying for me.
Wow.
What I didn't know at that time is that my best friend organized an online meditation, brought people together. They were praying for me. They were sending me love, and I said it at exactly the same time.
Wow.
I was like, if you believe in coincidence, this must be very strange coincidence. Because I was like, I almost dreamt it, but like it came to my awareness like a freaking Wi-Fi signal, like telling me a message. I was like, phew. And I don't know how many that happened. I have this thing with hypnosis. Every single time when I do hypnosis and I think about someone strongly, that person sends me a message right after.
We're all connected.
It is so wild. It is so wild.
If you take a look at what reality is, if you zoom down even below the atom, which is what makes up everything, okay? If you zoom down to the smallest particle, you will see that these particles behave in really interesting ways. And I don't want to overcomplicate it, but if you take a look at quantum phenomenon like quantum entanglement, it pretty much says that every particle is forever connected. And since we all came from a singularity, or you can call it the Big Bang, if you want to use that as what creation was, okay? Mm-hmm. We all came from singularity, so by fact, every single particle is entangled, which means it's connected and it defies both space and time.
We all came from a Big Bang.
Yeah, we all came from, the Big Bang singularity source. And we are all connected. And even if you take a look how everything, even above the subatomic, is created, like the elements, like carbon or oxygen, everything exists because of stars. Okay, when the star dies, they explode. It's called a supernova, and all those elements eventually form planets and Earth, and eventually us. So everything in our body right now, everything that exists in nature, all came from stars. So we are all stars. It's pretty crazy.
Why do you think so many people resonate with those? When we hear facts like those, people start understanding the power of the brain, the mind. You told me earlier something. Oh, I want to mention this before I put in a new thought. You said earlier so we're talking about the gut, right? We said we all know your brain has neurons. Mm-hmm. I then said, well, I'm mind blown by the fact that 90% of about 90% of the happiness hormone serotonin is being produced by your gut. And that the gut is also called the second brain.
Yes.
But it actually has more neurons than the brain. So it should be really called there's so much going on in your gut, right? So much power. And then you told me the heart has neurons. Is that true? Do I remember that correctly?
Yes. The heart has over 40,000 neurons. And I actually, even when I started meditating, I started studying a lot about the heart. Especially, and I suggest everybody to do it. If you take a look at the Heart Math Institute, they have this just wonderful research and studies they do on the heart. And I think they're the first one that they created the term heart coherence. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And I started measuring my heart coherence, okay? And you can see that as long as you start feeling love or start feeling gratitude, you can really see in real time how your heart rhythm becomes very beautiful and harmonious, okay? And now what does it have to do with the brain is because the heart sends more signals to the brain than it receives. In fetal development, the brain starts to form even like way before the brain even begins to develop.
Yeah, that's crazy. That fact is crazy. The heart is first, then the brain.
Yeah, the heart is, And so like if the heart starts functioning in a harmonious manner and becomes coherent, which pretty much just means pay attention to your heart, feel love, feel gratitude, and stay in that feeling, okay? Your heart will become coherent, And when your heart becomes coherent, the heart sends the message to the brain, and the brain gets coherent too. So the brain and heart are functioning together. One heart, one mind, just functioning beautifully together. And so the decisions that you will make in your life will come more from your heart than to the brain. Because the brain, if you think about it, is nothing but a record of the past. The brain just stores memories, traumas, what you should do, what you shouldn't, the program, right? Okay? And so the brain is always connected to the past. But the heart is connected to the moments. The moments when your heart says yes and the mind says no. Follow your heart.
It's different when you understand that, when you hear the words, listen to your heart.
It's true. It has a mind of its own. It has its own nervous system. It's a brain.
I'm just going to let that sink in. Because if I think about the best decisions of my life that led to the most beautiful moments, they usually came from my heart.
Yes.
But I could never explain why. I never thought about, that was just, if I'm being completely honest, I was just not aware that your heart has neurons. Mm-hmm. For me, it was this thing that pounds every day, subconsciously, gazillion times. But would you agree if I say your heart is kind of like the essence?
Yes.
And then your mind is a record of the past?
Yes.
Which is helpful sometimes.
Very.
Right?
The brain is amazing.
Like when I play paddle, it's really good that that it remembers how to...
Just learn when to use what.
Yeah. When we speak, it's really good that it's a record of the past because I memorize words. But then sometimes, in certain moments, it's good when you listen to that heart.
Mm-hmm. I mean, most people, the way they can make decisions, at the end of the day, it's always a battle between mind and heart. And so
Would you say mind or heart or brain or heart? Or brain, mind?
in these moments, I'm using mind and brain as the same.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but of course they're not, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
But mind is a word that a lot of us use for brain as well. But technically, yeah, the brain and the heart. Okay. And most people, when they're undecided about things, I always say, just follow your heart. You said it. When you follow your heart, the best thing ever happened in your life.
Oh, but then the brain is like, no! No, don't! Don't!
Yes. And
You idiot, don't you remember?
Yes, exactly. And it's so hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It's so hard. But
Literally
do it
hard.
enough. Yes, it sounds also impossible sometimes, but you will see that the longer you trust your heart, and that's why meditation is also very important, you will be able to literally feel it, and you will feel it when something is right for you. And I always follow my heart, and that's what leads me to the best things in my life. Doesn't care if it doesn't make sense. Usually it doesn't. Usually it really doesn't make sense. Like even when I was in Los Angeles, before I came to Bali and started my content creation journey, 2 years ago, I don't know why I decided to move completely from Los Angeles, my home for over 10 years, and came to Bali and buy a camera. I didn't know, but that's what my heart, that's what it felt right. I never even came to Uluwatu before. I never visited it, and I just literally moved completely. I was like, I'm done. I'm going here, and I'm getting a camera. I felt it here. My mind was like, yeah, what are you doing? Are you crazy? This makes absolutely no sense. But I felt it. It's also the kind of like I always say, when you meditate for long enough, you really develop superpowers, and it's so true. And I felt, and I'm very happy I followed my heart, because I could have followed my brain.
Yeah, while you were talking, I was thinking about moments in my life that really defined and shaped my destiny and the blissful life that I get to live now. One of them being I had a safe job. I would have had a good career. My mind was saying stay here. My heart was saying go, run.
Yeah.
Okay, and I ran. I quit my job, sold everything I owned, and that decision was the foundation of everything that I'm doing right now. If I would have not made, and it was so hard. It was so hard. But then I saw it worked out once, and I'm like, let me trust it more often. It feels like I can really trust my heart, my intuition. Would you say it's the same? Would you say intuition is
the heart intelligent?
Heart intelligence is your intuition. I love that, because I started listening, really, literally just for a time, blindly listening to that intuition, to that heart intelligence. There's this rule by Mel Robbins, genius. Are you familiar with her? Book, she wrote a book called 5 Second Rule. Very simple. Everybody can use it. And I read that book, and I'm like, I'm just going to try. You have an idea. You have an intuition. Perhaps I could also say your heart is telling you something. You count 3, 2, 1, and you just do it. 3, 2, 1, you just do it. 3, 2, 1, you just do it.
So it's the 3 second rule or the 5 second rule?
Sorry, it's 5 second rule. She says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I count.
That's hilarious, because I do it 3. I do it. I do it too.
It's
I
funny.
didn't know, but I do it 3.
Yeah, I do 3 as well, because I'm like, 3 makes so much more sense than 5. I can't
5 is too much.
I can't count until 5. Like until 5, I already chickened out. So like 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, talk to that person. 1, 2, 3, post. 1, 2, 3, share that idea. 1, 2, 3, send that message. And or 3 to 1, whatever you want to do. Yeah, it works both ways.
Yes.
But I practiced, and now it's like the most normal thing for me. I have an idea, boom, I do it. I don't even doubt it anymore, but I remember that it really started with that time. It just reminded me of that, and it might be powerful for people to hear, because it didn't make sense. All the people around me were like, what are you doing? You know, you're in such a privileged position. You worked so hard for this, and now you're giving it up? Are you out of your mind? I was out of my
Yes,
mind.
you were in your
In
heart.
my heart.
Wow.
And I made a hard decision. Led me to it's literally saved my life.
Yeah.
Because another moment that I was thinking of was this moment when doctors told me, or told my partner at the time, this guy's gonna die at the end of the week. My brain, or like the record of the past, would have been like, okay, well, you gotta listen to what they're saying.
Yes.
My heart was like, honey, I'm not gonna let the people down that love me. I'm gonna give 110%, and I can make this work, even if I don't know how. It was hard. People always ask me what made you survive. I'm like, my heart, my love.
Wow.
Literally the love for others. I think that's like, I mean, it's probably also the most beautiful emotion that you can
Yeah.
feel, right?
I mean,
also,
I say it's the emotion of the emotions.
yeah, it's like
the one ring. I don't know if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings.
No, I haven't watched
there's
it.
one ring that rules them all. And,
Yeah?
Like I joked, it's like the one emotion that rules them all.
It's love, it's gratitude.
I mean, it's unconditional love. I think it's the most thing that we can ever feel. Pure love.
Who do you have unconditional love for?
In my life,
Uh-huh.
like as a person,
Yeah.
I feel unconditional love not related to people. I feel that when I feel wholeness, I feel unconditional love when I surrender, and it's not something that that I truly feel it for a person, because there's different types of love. I'm talking about really when you surrender and it's like you become that feeling pure unconditional love, and it's something that is very hard to describe.
Because one of my favorite questions or like one of my favorite meditations is to become familiar with the people who love me
That's beautiful.
unconditionally.
That's beautiful.
And I feel this very warm feeling in my chest and my heart, and it brings me always back to my essence. I have the feeling, like I think about my grandmother. I think about my
definitely.
you know that
Definitely.
that just I think better thoughts immediately if I
Yeah.
think about that.
But your body works better when you feel love. That's the thing. You feel fear, your body doesn't work. You feel love, you feel gratitude, you feel all of those elevated, beautiful emotions. Your body starts working right to literally the very cells on how they communicate, which means it's supposed to be a regular state of being, not stress, not fear, not those survival emotions. So we should all fall in love with life.
Yeah. I hope all of those high performers, hustlers were listening. Your body actually functions better when you are in this state of love.
Yeah, that's proven.
And gratitude. Do you have mind-blowing facts that will help us shift from? Because one of the greatest challenges in the last decade of my life was shifting from the state of fear to a state of love, gratitude, homeostasis, whatever you mean, like snapping out of it. Used to take me hours, sometimes even days.
That's normal.
Now I'm down to, I think, hours at max. Sometimes it's minutes, sometimes it's even seconds. Because I snap like this. I tell people, and they start snapping around me when they catch me going back to this. But is there any practical tool, anything that could help us shifting from this fear state, this mind being stuck in our mind, back to heart?
Yeah, I would then recommend for everybody to practice how to generate heart coherence. That's really the secret.
How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually very, very simple. So first, place your mind, place your attention to your heart.
Yeah.
Okay. If it helps, you can put a hand right here. Okay. And it's very, very easy. Like all you need to do is to just pay attention here and just breathe. Slow down your breath. Okay. So if you control your breath, you can control a lot of things. So slow down your breath and just start bringing to mind people that you love or things you're grateful for. If you're not grateful for anything, I always say make it up. Look the definition of gratitude on Google. That's what I did. I was not grateful for anything. How does it feel? And I was like, okay, now I'm an actor and I'm faking gratitude. And I would fake a smile. I don't care, because when you fake a smile, chemicals are released.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. So like I would just, okay, I'm just gonna try my best to feel gratitude. Okay. And so you feel gratitude, you breathe in, equally out, pay attention to your heart, do it for 10 minutes. And do it for a little bit, okay, every day, and your heart will become, more and more and more coherent, which means your nervous system will become more coherent, your brain will become more coherent. You will go from sympathetic to parasympathetic in your nervous system, from stress response to rest and repair. That's the thing. At the end of the day, change is actually very simple. It's not that hard, okay? It's like, it can be hard, but it's simple.
Yeah, it's simple.
You just have to do it.
Yeah, it's simple. It's not easy, because it's often, I think, if I think about my own moments, the last thing you want to do is to probably sit down and meditate.
Yes.
Right? But who said it's supposed to be easy? So I had to smile a bit when you were sharing this, because one of the tools, my one-on-one clients, they will know this exercise when they come to me and they have like, when someone comes with like this energy of, I have so many problems, so many stressors in my life. I do exactly that. I'm like, shut the front door for a second, okay? Close your eyes, lay back, put your left hand on your heart.
Yeah.
We are breathing together. We usually do 2 minutes. And I ask them couple of questions to focus on things they're proud of. I ask them to focus on the people, on the faces of people they love. I want them. It's crazy when you do this in a group setting. If you just tell people to close their eyes, breathe into their heart, and focus on people who love them, and see their smiles, the majority of the room starts smiling.
And it's powerful.
Nobody's in the freaking room. It's just your mind. Wow. So we do that. And after that, I just ask them, okay, what do you need to focus on right now? They have the solution in 90.9% of the cases. They already know when they connect back to heart, back to essence. It's so powerful.
It truly is.
It truly is. Do you have more mind-blowing things that's... I mean, before the episode started, we were already talking for 3 hours. I was like, I should have recorded all of this. Mind-blowing facts that maybe even have blown your own mind while you were creating. Like when you did research, you were like, oh my goodness. We talked earlier about orgasms, and I asked you, I shared this experience. So I was doing breath work in a group setting. And there was this lady next to me. I think she was like in her 40s. She was like 1.5 meters next to me, and we're doing breath work. And all of a sudden, she started moaning. And my eyes were closed, so I didn't understand what was happening. But it sounded like someone has an orgasm right next to me, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm sure nobody is practicing. What is the word? Coitus? Nobody's playing Lego, nobody's having sex next to me, right? Okay, because you're looking at me very confused. So I'm like opening my eyes, and she has an orgasm right next to me, and I'm aware that happens frequently to women who do breath work. Another reason for you to do breath work. And one of your reels explain why.
Yeah, so there is a very big topic, okay? But every sort of feelings, including maybe the bliss that you may feel during an orgasm, can be achieved with your eyes closed, without touching or doing anything with anybody, okay? And there's something that for fun, I call it the brain orgasm, just because it kind of feels like that. Because something that which is a topic that I really like is really the topic of sexual energy, okay? That's really...
Who doesn't like that topic?
Well, because think about it, sexual energy is everything. It's they're the force that creates.
Yeah.
Okay, it creates. It's something that creates a baby out of nothing. Okay, it's what literally drives
Yeah.
us and
Yeah.
animals. And there's really two ways that the energy can move. It can move out, as most people do, like a regular orgasm, or it can move up to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do certain techniques or even certain types of breath work, there's ways that you can direct that creative life force, that energy that can literally create a baby out of nothing and directly all the way into the brain. And yeah, it does feel way more than just an orgasm. It's very electric. And
it's true for both men and women, I
yes.
see? Wow.
Yes, actually, it's true for both, and your brain start just becoming super normal.
I'm
You
trying to
start-
find more reasons for both men and women to try breathwork. So it's a very unique selling point. You can
yeah, and it's really beautiful state, and it's actually very good for your body.
Yeah.
It's good for the brain. Your brain start functioning way better because it's just a lot of energy that just goes into the brain. So it's really wonderful, and at the same time, a lot of chemical compounds are released in your body, and you just feel pure bliss, and it's just wonderful.
I think your work, your presence, your essence is so much about showing us how powerful
Yes.
our heart is, our brain is, and our mind is as well. Or the mind, not even ours, often, the mind. And that we can, in any situation in life, we can focus. I liked your definition of the mind so much. We can focus on something positive that makes us feel good, that makes us feel appreciation, gratitude, love, and we can focus on something that is negative, that makes us feel sad, fearful. I mean, fear is probably the biggest one for all of us. The amount of time we human beings spend worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet, but it feels so real. It didn't happen, but you already suffer. I remember having a bone marrow puncture. I suffered, honestly, the psychological pain before that thing was bigger than the actual thing. The 2 weeks in advance that I was picturing the pain in my head were much greater than actually, the 20 minutes of going through it. And then later on I learned you can take this one thing and you don't even feel it. So I want to say a big thank you in the words of everybody who is listening, watching, doing your meditations, because it's such powerful, profound work, and it empowers us. Like, I think it's really, for people who are going through a hard time at the moment, I think it's actually really empowering. It's very good news.
That's my goal, is to empower people of and to remind them how powerful they are. They can become anything they want to be. Actually, they can become even more than what they want to be. We are powerful, and we can create everything we want in our life. We don't have to be the victim of our circumstances or of our environment. We're literally the creators of everything, and I want everybody to step into that. I want the world to stop suffering, because I see it, I feel it. Everybody just running on this program, and I see so much suffering, whether the people are aware, and what's even more scary is that a lot of people are not even aware that they're suffering. And I want to just wake up the world, and I want to remind of the power that we have, because the world would be a better place if we all wake up and realize our power.
Talking about our power and talking about things that we can create. One thing that I want to create is a book with success recipes, with the best lessons that people ever learned in their lives, because we human beings, we can learn in two ways: either trial and error by ourselves, or we can learn from others. A baby, good example about how your brain works, record of the past. A baby touches a hot stove, burns her or his hand, will forever remember, I better don't touch that thing.
Yes.
Right? So that's one way of learning. Another way of learning is the parent has a conversation with that baby, or then maybe later a child. You don't want to touch that, because when you touch it, you burn your hands. And it's very painful. You have to go to the doctor. So I wanna put the best lessons, the best advice that you have. You can pick one topic: love/relationships. Mm-hmm. You can pick business. Mm-hmm. You can pick health. The biggest categories in life. You can add one thought to that book. One piece of wisdom you think the world needs to know into that book, and we are passing it on to the world. What would it be?
That you can create anything you want in your life, honestly. It's very simple, but it's very true. People just don't see and believe in possibilities, and they're stuck in a life that they don't even want, or they don't think there's anything better. We get stuck in the comfort of our life, because that's what's familiar to us. Our nervous system craves what's familiar. And I just want people to know that they can create anything they want. There's unlimited possibilities for them to do. And when you believe in possibilities, you start creating possibilities.
Yeah, if a little bit of white fluid can turn into think about it. At some point we were a thought.
Yes, yes.
That is wild.
That is, yes.
For me, if you really, you can call me crazy, but if you really think about how a thought turns into a bit of white liquid, turns into, there are many other things involved in that process. But at the end of the day, there's a heart, there's a brain, there's all sorts of organ cells, gut. It's wild. I think that just shows you how much is possible if you're willing to believe, if you're willing to look at your blueprint of your. You said it so nicely. Many people rather. I don't think rather. There's not awareness. We rather feel the same familiar story, even if it's destructive, than to create a new one. Because it's scary to create a new one. It's so much easier to just stick to what's familiar.
But also, it's just the way we work, because we are wired for survival and not happiness and fulfillment and all of that stuff, because that's how we evolved.
Yeah.
Our nervous system is wired to seek what's familiar, even if the familiar means it's very, very dangerous and bad for you.
Yeah.
Because it's survival, because it knows that if I keep staying in that situation, in that environment, I'm going to keep surviving, and it's all the nervous system cares. It's a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
But the rest, even if it's the best thing for us, it's unknown. And the unknown means danger, whether it's good or bad. The unknown equals danger to your nervous system. So again, it's to bring awareness to even how we work, because that's why I've tried to bring science to literally every single thing, because by understanding how we work, you can change how we work.
Is that why some people are always angry? They always go back to that anger.
Yes.
I love the term emotional home. It's like a home they create. There are certain parts, you live in the US, there are certain parts in the world, also especially in the US, every couple of years there's a massive hurricane, blows away all their homes.
Yeah.
And then what do people do? Instead of going somewhere else, they build another house exactly at the same spot. Couple of years later, it happens again. Why don't they move? Because it's home. It's so familiar. And we do the same things with our emotions. And awareness is the first step. There's some people who always go back to anger because it's so familiar. Perhaps where they grew up, it was always anger. That's all they saw. For other people, this familiarity is frustration, because that was my emotional home for a long time. That's all I saw when I was growing up. So I would choose the same familiarity, and then traveling, doing risky things, listening to my heart led me to a place of like, I like the unknown.
Yeah. And if you think about it, your body literally becomes addicted to the chemicals that are released when you feel emotions. Like the chemicals that are released when you feel those crazy heightened states of survival, okay? Those very limited emotions. It's a lot of chemicals. There's a lot of rush, a lot of adrenaline, and the body really craves it again because it's such a big rush. It's like the same feeling of when you take a drug, and your body becomes also addicted to those negative emotions, okay? So that's why it's important to feel and practice feeling on command, no matter what you're doing. And if you have to fake it at the beginning, emotions like love and gratitude, because I'd rather be addicted to love than be addicted to frustration, okay? I remember I had you can call it a panic attack once, okay? When I was in my dark age. And now, you know what I have? I have love attacks. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it's too much love. But I'd rather have that. And I'm really like, oh my God. It's like, I'm like, literally, my heart is bursting open on its own. And it's actually really beautiful. It feels amazing. But so I'd rather, get addicted to love and gratitude than to anger and stress.
You said something really powerful there. We're addicted to problems.
Yes, we are.
So many of us. And probably if we look at ourselves, there's still problems that we are addicted to, and we might not even be aware of it. But that's this beautiful process that we all in. Decoding what is part of the program that we want to keep and part of the program that we probably want to change. I can imagine a lot of people are listening to this episode and feel really empowered because you shared so much wisdom with us. You didn't hold back. Is there one practical thing that people can start to do, starting today, starting right after listening to this episode, to have more, beautiful word, heart coherence?
I suggest everybody to begin, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, and then you will increase it over time, a meditation practice, okay? But let me explain what I mean with that, because I mentioned many times that meditation means many things to different people, okay? And a lot of times it can really seem this very spiritual practice, something that you need to become a Buddhist to do, or you need to be a monk, you have to shave your head, or move to Bali,
Move to Ubud.
Move to Ubud, yeah. Or I remember even me, I thought maybe it was something just reserved for those people, or maybe for like billionaires, or biohacker, something like that. And meditation, again, is just the practice of becoming familiar with yourself at its very basics. And people start making it very hard, and they start sitting cross-legged and try to do all of these things. For me, I just say sit on a very comfortable chair, okay? You don't have to be on the floor unless you want to. It's okay, but make it very easy. Have nice back end support, because you want to forget about your body. And just become aware. That's the very basic thing of meditation. Become just aware of your breath. Okay? Just breathe and become aware of your breath. Place your mind to your breath. And you will see that your thoughts will come up. Okay? And every time there's a thought, pause and come back to the breath. Every time, and people say, oh, I can meditate because I'm thinking. Yes, this is the work. Okay, become aware of your thoughts and then come back. Become aware of your thoughts, then come back. You're training the muscle of awareness to come back to the present moment, right here, right now. Okay, and so practice 5 minutes a day. You will have thoughts. It will be hard, sure, but then come back to the moment. Make the room very dark. Okay, put some blindfolds on, put some music, make it everything. Just make it very easy on you, and just do it 5 minutes a day. Once you can do 5, do 10. Once you can do 10, do it for 15. And once you can do it for 15, and you do it pretty good, now you really know how to slow down your brain waves, okay? And now you can start working on installing a new software, okay? And so after you're maybe there at 15 minutes, think about it. How do you want to think?
How do you want to think?
Yes. And do it. You're in that state. You're reprogramming right now. How do you want to feel? And feel it. Okay? Feel it. Like you should really feel it. How do you want to act? What habits do you want to do? Rehearse them. Visualize them. Okay?
Those are some really good questions. How about we leave people with those questions? If you're listening right now, don't just be a listener, be actually someone who practice. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, get it out of your body onto paper. So the first question you ask, what do you want to think?
Yes. How do you want to feel?
How do you want to feel?
How do you want to act?
How do you want to act? Can I add, who would you like to be?
Yes. I actually ask myself this question every morning to this day. I wake up, I ask myself, who do I want to be today? How do I want to think?
Yeah.
How do I want to feel?
How do I want to show up? I asked to do the same thing.
It's very basic, and if you do it in the morning, you're also in that good state of theta, and you do that in meditation, and then you're really rewiring your brain. And then meditation can get you in some very beautiful ways. But this is the start. Become familiar with yourself and change the program. Yeah.
So write that down, and then maybe that first part was Gabriele. Thank you so much. I would say that the second part, then you can do something that I was referring to earlier: self-hypnosis. Get your phone out and tell yourself how you want to act, who you want to be, how you want to think. All of those things. Put it into a hypnosis, and then listen to it for the next 30 days before you go to bed. And see how much you can change. See that you can change your auto program. And
I used to put reminders on my phone. I used to have, for me, it was just an emoji that would represent that state of being.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will get it every hour. I will get the reminder on the phone with the emoji, which for me was like a crown. Okay, that just what it meant for me. That state of being, like empowered.
Yeah.
I associated all of those thoughts and emotions, to that. And so I would get my phone and I would just try to change my state, like with my will alone.
Yeah.
Even if I have to fake it, it's okay. So I received the notification. Okay, perfect. So, and I'll go from here to here. Okay. You change your state, you change your energy, you change your life.
Yeah, and at some point that thought that you want to think becomes part of your auto program.
Yes.
Like brushing your teeth. You don't have to think.
Yes.
I need to brush my teeth. Like I need to put it on my to-do list.
Yes.
It's part of your auto program. Your brain knows. Boom. Or like, I have to eat. No, your body knows. Mm-hmm. And so those thoughts are so it's so powerful. It's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, why I do what I do, for those kind of aha moments, but also to hear the stories, the teachings of people like you. Big thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming all the way from Uluwatu to here. For everybody who's in Bali, they know it's quite a journey at times. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, putting in the work for. Just imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if that wonderful young man would have not listened to his heart and would have been, so many lives would have been untouched. And the work that you're doing is really, really profound. I salute you, for the man you are. And if you want to hear more, if you want to learn more, if you want to get the reason why, or understand the reason why I'm so obsessed with this guy, go head over to his socials, do some of his meditations work, and step into the power. Start reprogramming your subconscious mind.
It was beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for
Thank you so
listening,
much.
watching. Don't forget about the exercise. And then last but not least, because we went to the same retreat, remember what the former monk Free said: may you be safe, healthy, and peaceful.
Okay.
And may you be connected to your heart.
Oh yeah, let's.
May you be connected to your heart. Thank you so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode, just as a little gift from our side, from my team, because you stayed until the end of this episode. 30 days of free Fire Within membership. I created the Fire Within membership to give you guys access to the tools that have changed my life, the lives of my clients, and give you also access to a community of like-minded people. We have guided breathwork sessions, guided meditations, guided visualization practices, really tools that enable you to create the life that you deserve and that you want. And it's one of the best things we have ever created. Hundreds of people, live events, sessions that will blow your mind. 30 days for free. You will find the link in the description. Thank you so much, and until next time.